Welcome to Embedded Edge with Nitin, a podcast that brings to life the stories behind today's embedded systems, technologies, and products. It's the show where you'll hear from both engineers and executives on some of the most topical news and most pressing challenges in the world of embedded system design. Here's your host, Nitin Dahad.
Well, hello, this is Nitin Dahad, and welcome to this edition of the Embedded Edge podcast. Today brought to you by Infineon Technologies, and my guest today is Omar Cruz, who's the Senior Manager for PSOC Edge at Infineon Technologies. Omar, hello, how are you?
Hi, Nitin. I'm doing great. What about you? How are you?
I'm good. We are going to talk today about intelligent HMI at the edge. And when we talk HMI, we're talking about human-machine interface and redefining that intelligent HMI at the edge. Obviously, there's lots of things evolving, and Infineon has introduced a new PSOC Edge HMI kit. But let's talk a little bit about what you mean by intelligent HMI and some context. I mean, in the past, you had up to now, what we're used to now, a voice interaction. We're used to touch screens, and it's going into all kinds of applications from the Alexas and the Siris and whatever else you have to the mobile phone touch screens, the tablets, and now automotive and many other areas. Tell me a little bit about where is that evolving with what you can do now?
Yes, definitely, and that's I think a great way to start the podcast, because yes, I think we are all aware of what HMI brings today, right? It's a little bit of it is that you can interact with a human machine interface, but now what's happening is this evolution of HMI where we're bringing real intelligence, and that intelligence actually is sustained at the edge, right? And this intelligence may come up from added user experiences, from voice, right? Having more of a conversation with your devices. It can come from the fact that if the products themselves, the systems themselves for the next generation can add face identification, presence detection, sensor fusion, and all of that interaction is being provided by a microcontroller that has edge AI capabilities, right? Some sort of AI acceleration at the edge. And that's bringing just a new level of conversation, a new level of user experiences, and overall an exciting era of new developments overall in the HMI space. And
I think just to add more context to that, what we're enabling now is a level of intelligence with this now the ability to do a lot more on the edge and more processing, more small language models, stuff that you have there to do more that allows you to do that sensor fusion at the edge without going to the cloud.
That's correct. There's staying at the edge, no internet connectivity whatsoever, right? You can start doing it just with that type of device, well enabled, of course. And this is also part of why I'm really excited to be here and doing this podcast. Yeah.
And we'll talk about the areas, for example, everything from smart homes to toys to smart everything. But let's talk a little bit about why we're doing this podcast, which is basically you've got this new PSOC Edge HMI kit. What is that? What does that involve? And it's just launched. So tell us a little bit about what that contains and how a customer gets their hands on it and what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, definitely. So people may be aware already that a couple of months ago, we launched our Edge AI microcontroller, right, which is a PSOC Edge family. And that was a microcontroller by itself. A lot of capabilities being introduced, right? But now what we're doing is we're introducing this PSOC Edge E84 HMI kit. And that HMI kit does not only have my PSOC Edge microcontroller, but it also is adding elements for developers to leverage, right? The fact that we are adding a 60 gigahertz radar sensor, we have a camera itself, we have multiple analog and digital microphones, we have an IMU, we have a humidity and temperature sensor, we have memories, everything in an application-centric form factor, meaning like if you take a look at it, you'll find a pretty nice device that it almost looks like it's ready to just be taken into production, right? So all of that being assembled, all of that with the deployment and the enablement from the piece of Edge team, right? And making it ready to go for developers, for engineers to just take it and start, taking their designs into the next level.
Well, it sounds like, even for kids and students here, like it's, I remember in the 70s when I first started playing with my first electronics kit, it just had a couple of transistors and a couple of resistors and a photosensor. But it's really a real playground for developers, isn't it?
It is. It's like, going back to school with your breadboard times, and now you have a microcontroller that it's so capable, and surrounding it, you have all these different sensors and elements that even if you're a hobbyist or a student, as you mentioned, like I think this can be also a really exciting tool for you to not only take it to the next level, but even if you want to get familiar to this Edge AI era that I think is going to be the future of embedded design.
Okay. So we got this kit to get them off the Infineon Technologies website, and so then they can just order from there. What's the journey in terms of how you sort of deploy it to an application? So you configure things and whatever. You can switch things on and off, I guess.
Yes, that's a great question. So the easiest is, of course, going to infinity.com. We have a specific vanity URL, which is infinity.com/kit_PSC84_HMI. In that particular website or site, you'll find the ability to get one of those boards for yourself. You'll find the partners that also are selling those boards outside Infineon.com if it makes it easier for you to get it that way. And also on that website, where you're gonna find is different pieces of documentation, from quick start guide, user manual, the data sheet, right, of our microcontroller, just in case you want to get a little bit more. And on top of that, also the software element, right, which is so important nowadays, that you can download Modus Toolbox, you can download Deepcraft, which are the key elements of our software journey, and just rely and leverage what we have already done. Because when you look into the Modus Toolbox experience from the embedded point of view, you'll find a lot of code examples where we have taken the radar, where we have taken the camera, where we have taken the microphones, and we have added code examples around that, where you just almost copy paste and just start your design, right, with all of the things that we have already optimized for the microcontroller and for the different sensors and integration that we have in this particular kit.
There must be quite a lot of good examples, and I guess you start with a sort of set which then people can play with and manipulate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can start with the Hello World that we are all familiar with, but on top of that, you'll find code example for every single component that we have enabled in the HMI kit, right? So yes, more than something along the lines of 70 code examples or more that we have added.
Okay. And then if you want to do your own, if you have a little bit more experience, you can use the Modus Toolbox, you can use the Deepcraft to sort of evolve your own models, or code, as well as putting SLMs on there, I guess.
Yes, it depends on your level of expertise, right? We have made it easy for those guys who are starting the journey in the embedded space. But even if you already have your own models, right? You're a machine learning expert and you have your own models. We even have elements in Deepcraft that we allow and optimize it for the microcontroller and for the actual kit, right? So no matter the journey where you're at, we have different solutions that will allow you to just take it to the next level and for you to start playing or just developing a real time or a real use case or a real product. Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about some of the use cases. What are the examples that you might use this for, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about what you've already seen from customers you've trialed this with.
Yeah, definitely. So, the easiest example that I can think of, because we are actually coming off with an out-of-the-box demonstration around the thermostat, right? And you can think about the normal thermostat where you have a touch screen and you can just adjust the the temperature.
I
But
still
now
have it dialed.
if you are from the old school, you still have that analog, rolling thing. But now you can take it to the next level, and this is something that we are introducing as out of the box, right? You can have presence detection that is being enabled by the radar that we have integrated. You can have cameras, so you can actually do face identification, understanding who is in front of the thermostat, and just setting up everything to the right settings for that particular person, right? You can talk to the thermostat, right? Because with Edge AI elements, we now have the ability to introduce the language models in an Edge device, right? So all those different elements just come out of the gate in a demonstration that we have. If as a thermostat, you're gonna see the nice interface, right, where we have our graphics, because we also have a graphics processing unit in the microcontroller, right? So it's all those different elements being already integrated. Yep.
I mean that's quite cool. So I think typically it doesn't even have to know the person, but it can have presence detection or temperature, or sense whether somebody's there, and then raise the temperature or lower the temperature if there's nothing there for a while. Is that right?
Exactly. The energy efficiency element, right, can also be brought by that radar presence detection mechanism that we can integrate. Yeah.
Now, one of the things I think when we talk about smart homes and whatever, like you talked about when we had a discussion prior to this about smart refrigerators. Now, a cynic like me will say, well, yeah, we had them for years and nobody really wanted them, but it's different now, isn't it?
It is different, I think, and some also the things that I mentioned is like you have your smart device or your smart appliance, and it's not even connected to the internet, right? So it stops being smart. The beauty about the HAI is that you don't actually need an internet connection, right? You can have your device that can start doing some elements of real intelligence into the edge, and you can leverage that, right? Like think about something as easy as like looking into your refrigerator, understanding that you're missing the fruits that you normally buy, and just starting to add that notes to the refrigerator itself, right? Or sending you a text message or whatever, right? Those elements have become easier for, even if you are not like, well, I don't even connect it to the internet. Now it's like, well, you can add real intelligence elements with a microcontroller like piece of Edge and with an HMI kit, or with these different elements that we have integrated.
What are we talked about two examples here, but I guess are there any sort of exciting things you're seeing on the horizon, or either from your passion or desire to deploy this, or from what customers are telling you?
Yep. Yeah. And we've had multiple interactions with customers. I'm also passionate about a couple of things, right? And one of the examples that I'd like to talk about is even toys. I have two kids at home, and they really, really like playing with toys. And now that adding real intelligence to toys while keeping it safe, which is another important topic, is you can have real intelligence with your toys. You can have this human-machine interaction. You can talk to them. You can play right with them in a different sense, and everything is going to stay secure. And this is one of the things that I'm seeing also, being part of it, on top of the multiple elements that we have at our smart homes, or that we have in our smart industrial settings, where we can see how Edge AI can bring a lot of benefits and also, make it easy for everybody.
Well, I was just imagining there, like, I don't know, being a boy, you have this like action hero, and you start putting your sword or your whatever with it to start fencing, and it'll see with the camera and it'll start doing the fencing with you.
Yeah. It's so many different things that you're not even thinking about it right now, but that you can enable. And the also, security and privacy is quite a topic, right? But now that internet connection is not absolutely required, right? This is some elements that you can add that privacy to your kids and just be safe. I would say,
and it stays local is the point. Privacy, security, all of that comes into play as well.
It stays locally, comes into play, and this is something that we can also support with such an element like piece of Edge and this HMI kit. Yeah.
So it's been quite fascinating. Are there anything? So what's the sort of closing, what are the things that you want our listeners to go away with when they're apart from going to the website, obviously, but which we'll list there. But what's the thing that you want listeners to think about once they've heard this and go away and then think about?
Yeah, no, I mean that definitely it's one of the key elements. Is Edge AI is here to stay from my personal point of view, but I'm seeing the trends that point that way. And with that said, is how Infineon has made it easy from different angles, right? We have the angle of the hardware, where we're bringing energy efficient solution with a lot of capabilities from the processing point of view. But also we're making it easy because it's like a one-stop shop, not only from the processing perspective with the microcontroller, but also as part of our portfolio, having radar sensors, having microphones, right? Digital analog microphones, having Wi-Fi, Bluetooth chipsets and connectivity elements added that we have also integrated in the HMI kit. One-stop shop from the hardware perspective, and also when it comes to the software side of things, we have made it easy as well, right? So everything integrated. You have a kit that you can start playing with, that you can start innovating, that you can start developing your next generation Edge AI product, and being brought by Infineon in an easy way. You can go to the website, as you kind of have hinted already. And on top of that, it's how we are making it easy for you guys, for everybody listening, right? And that's key of what I wanted to come here and talk about.
So the future of human and machine interaction is at the edge.
It is at the edge. That's something that I'm pretty sure of. And we are adding so many elements from so many different perspectives that will assure that things are staying with the privacy that we require, but also with the energy efficiency and with the elements of innovation that we absolutely need.
Well, Omar Cruz, thank you very much. That brings us to the edge of this edition of Embedded Edge, brought to you by Infineon Technologies. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you, Nitin, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.